Jay, just what reactions, media reactions have even feel after the first round?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was awesome. It was hot. Grant Godfrey's shoes like melted in the individual. I think that was like what we needed. I love the heat. I thought it was good. I thought we did a really nice job on third down. I thought early on some of our run defense was a little bit like timid, like kind of like trying to figure it out. I think once we kind of settled in the run game was pretty good. I thought we did a good job on third down. Really thought the corners played well, even though we were down. Our main guys. I thought it was really impressive to see those guys.
Jay, how do you, if he gets cleared to playing games, how do you envision Alex Safari kind of fitting in?
I think we're just preparing right now and obviously hopeful because Alex has got a lot of experience, right? He's a talented kid. I really like him. When I got a chance to meet him a little bit when I first got here, I remembered him out of high school. He's kind of a unique player out of high school. You weren't really sure what he was going to become, and I knew he could become a good player. I honestly thought he'd get drafted, So I think a 31, he's got 31 career starts. I don't know many D coordinators that would be real disappointed if a guy like that was able to come. So, look, fired up about him, hope it happens, but feel good about the linebackers either way, So I think hopefully Alex comes and can give us a little bit of a veteran presence.
Coach, with the news of O'Berry, just talk about the edge, what's behind him and the edge room.
I know Will talked about it. Look, sad for him, but at the same time, I really think Callan and CJ and Sam Green are really good players. So I feel really good about T-Dub, coaching those guys in that room. I feel really good about it. So, I think we'll be fine. Yeah.
About Works in particular, what have you seen him kind of do?
Man, I tell you, he loves football. I knew about him. He's been everything I thought. Maybe even a little bit savvier football player than I thought. But man, I think those kids are going to be good players. I've been fortunate the last handful of years to be around some really good edge guys, and I see a really bright future for those three kids, man.
Last week, Stein talked about wanting to see a lot of the ones, mainly on the O-line and D-line, really start going at each other. What's those battles been like, especially maybe on a hot day like today?
It was all, man, it's good. Look, this game always has been and always will be about big people, right? That's why it's the best game ever. So, there's been some days that, the advantage is tilted towards Cutter's guys, and some days the advantage is tilted towards Stu's guys. And, I'm excited. I thought today, man, we got some like Ben Duncombe, man, he played really good today. He's a true freshman. I think we're making progress with some of those guys that are going to be good players. So, I think Tyler Thomas has improved a ton. And so I think Stu's, Stu's going to grind those guys and get them ready to go. And there's some good young players in that group.
Jay, in the fronts that you use, is it a nose tackle, and how do those guys?
Remember now, Youngstown State's going to listen to this, but it just depends, bro. It just depends. A little bit of both. You better be able to do a couple different things if you play in our front seven, and so it just depends.
Could you talk about the big guys a little bit, how they're shaping up?
Like McNeese Grace, I think, is a dynamite player. I think, Ahmad Bro's been a little banged up. He didn't go today, but I think it's been what we thought he would be. A guy that can give you some versatility, plays really hard. Chops, look, when you say nose guard, that's what they're supposed to look like, right? Chops is a big fella, right? I think Big K has been tremendous. Stu's done a really nice job with him, and then I think Dominic Wiseman is a little bit sawed off, but man, he's played a lot of football, right? Like experience matters, and so I think those three, is that nose position, they've been good. Obviously, Tay's a really good player. I've been really impressed with Jaden. We kind of held those two a little bit today to see some of the other guys, but really good with those guys. I feel good about the front, man. We just got to keep them healthy and try to play with them all year. That's going to be the key.
You mentioned Grant's cleats, but just him as a player, just what has he brought you all from leadership and just ability?
I think people underestimate the processing speed you have to have. Wesley Woodyard was out there today and talked. I had him talk to the guys, which was awesome, man. And but the processing speed at linebacker with your brain. Grant's really smart. Obviously, he's his history with his dad being a great player. I think that helps, right? But yeah, I really like Grant. He's big, he's bigger than I've had in the last few years, so I think I like that about him. And But man, he's smart. He's becoming a leader. I'm kind of challenging him to be more of a leader. I think that's something he could do because he is really smart. But man, he's really embraced the role of the leader. I mean, my gut is he'll be the guy with the green dot in his helmet, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him play. Man, I think he's going to play a ton and have a really good year for us.
Jay, what have you seen from Isaiah McNeese and all those others?
Yeah, so Isaiah, like I knew his dad. He was, coming out of high school, and you're at 200 meters in high school, so like you knew he was like legit track speed. And I went and saw him, and when he was a young kid, and he was like really skinny, and I was like, man, this guy, he's frail almost, right? And then he got here, and like it's like every couple weeks I would, before spring practice you wouldn't see him, and then after, I go recruiting, I come back, and then I vacation, you come back, like, man, he just keeps getting bigger, man. AB's done a great job with him. His body's better. He's fighting through a thumb, but like he's out there playing, and man, he's really improved. I think he's in the spring I was like, he's got to come along a little faster. Man, I think he's had a really good summer. He's a little more confident. I can kind of get after him a little bit. He responds. I like him. His dad's a college coach. He knows what this is about. I think he's got a pretty bright future, man.
Coach, you talked with us a few weeks ago and joked and said, I don't understand how Ty Bryant was all SEC last year, and there's people leaving him off their all SEC preseason list this year. You talked about just how important he was. Now that you guys have been into camp and had the scrimmage today, how has he been in leadership-wise and on the field?
Tremendous leader, really hard on himself, like talk about like a kid who's got a standard like almost unattainable. That's how he lives his life. Just so smart, look, I mean, he smiles, he got $1 million smile, but then like on the field now, he's gonna try to he's gonna physically get after you. Yeah, so I just think I love that dude, man. I'm really fortunate I get to coach that guy, and I'm glad he's with us now. I'm trying to it's 5 for 5 now. I'm trying to talk him into one more. Every time I see Cisco, I try to plant the seed with him. So, but he's a dynamite player, man.
Sorry about that. You mentioned smart with a lot of guys. Do you feel like you've got a group that you can do more things with because of?
I do think we've got some kids at football make sense to that are smart. Ty, Grant. I think Ryan Nichols is really smart. I think Lorenzo Cowan is tremendous. Like one of the smarter edge players I've had. So I think we've got a group of guys. We've got to bring some of the other ones up. Right now it's a little bit of like 400 level classes and then in freshman classes with some guys. But I think we're bringing that along. I think to play football nowadays as a defender, you got to be able to handle a lot of checks and a lot of motions and anticipate. And we're making progress in that. But I do think we have some smart kids for sure.
How important is it when you have those players that have those high IQs that those guys also become leaders and can bring their teammates along?
Yeah, well, I think with confidence comes leadership a little bit, right? And so I think when they're confident, they know what's going on, they're able to communicate that. I think the leadership comes, and then I think you have to challenge some of them, like, hey, like what is the role of a leader? Like a lot of really good leaders don't have a lot of friends, and I think that's been my challenge to these kids is like, hey, look, I tell them all the time, I got enough friends, right? So like challenge your group, bring the group along, demand a certain level, and we talk all the time with them. The player-led standard is the standard that wins, and so they have to establish a standard and hold each other accountable. I can only I'm going to drive the bus, but like to really be successful, they've got to lead, and we've got some bright kids that are starting to really turn the corner in that direction.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.